Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Power Within podcast. My name is Myra, and I am your host for an entire 30 minutes, or however long I decide to do this. I promise I will not keep you here for more than 30 minutes. Today, we are discussing the power of nutrition. You know, what's the right way to eat? How should we eat? Deliciousness of eating. Is obesity really an epidemic? I know I'm trying to make this sound as dramatic as possible. Anyway, I had really fun this week studying food because, you know, who doesn't love food? And I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Alrighty. So just a recap from last week, we studied the power of meditation, and I shared with you guys my experience in meditation, and I am proud to say that this week I did the Power Spark. Oh yeah, I did all the goals. Every single day this week I meditated, and I meditated outside. Honestly, I think I just had enough time. I think I just was blessed with enough free time this week that I was able to do it. But even still, it was still only for 10 minutes, and it still made a big difference, especially doing outside. And if you're out there and you're like, well, dang it, Myra, I never got to meditate. I guess I just am a failure. Don't say that. You're not a failure. Sometimes, you know, life gets busy. And I would say just try again next week. You know, goals are only goals if they help us improve. But if they're causing us guilt and shame, you might want to, rethink them. Because I don't think those are goals. Those are just guilt trips. Oh, somebody copyrighted that. Woo! It might not happen again. Anyways. So that's what we did with our meditation. Alrighty, let's go ahead and dive into this week. So nutrition has actually been a really, really hard one for me. Growing up, I was always concerned with my weight. I think it was just a generational thing. I feel like back in the 80s and 90s, weight was a big thing. You know, you wanted to be as skinny as possible. You didn't want to be fat. And back then, fat wasn't what we think of fat as now. For example, do you guys remember, have you guys seen Friends? Monica is always teased how she used to be fat, but when I see her, I've definitely seen people more fatter than her now. You know, being a nurse, I have seen patients who are so big they don't even fit in their own beds, or who aren't able to walk. And if you're one of those people, that's okay. You know, we're all on our own journey, and there's no shaming here. But, you know, our definition of what is fat or what is obese is way different now than it used to be. So, yeah. That being said, I'm not really sure where I was going with that. I had this whole... I made a list this time, guys. I'm on my podcast, and I made a whole bullet point list. Yeah, we're just trying something new. Anyway, so what did I eat this week? Well, I realized that I eat out a ton. Guys, I eat out a ton. And it's not very good. But, you know, there are some factors that involve me eating out. One, I am single. Hey, just kidding. Please disregard that comment. Anyway, I'm single. I eat out a lot, and it's just because it's quick, it's easy. I don't have to worry about leftovers. And plus, when I get home, who wants to cook for just one person? You know, it's a lot harder to cook for one person than it is for a whole group of people. So I eat out a lot. And here's some places I went out to eat this week. I went to a Vietnamese food restaurant with one of my good friends, my lovely, lovely, lovely best friend. I love her so much. But we got Vietnamese food. I feel like that was kind of healthy. Then I went to eat Lucky Slice pizza with another friend. Yeah, maybe Lucky Slice was not. It wasn't healthy, but the pizza wasn't bad. I had vegan pizza. I'm sorry, vegans. It does not taste good as good as normal pizza. I have a very big belief that you are vegans because you have something to prove, as in you want to improve the world and you have a very strong desire to improve it. But I am not, I don't know. I don't know if I could do the vegan life, even though it sounds like a really good time. I also went to Black Bear Diner. Dang, I just ate out a lot. You know, it's expensive too. I'm a nurse. It's not like I'm a lawyer or anything. That's something that I'm actually trying to work on. Starting yesterday, actually. Was it yesterday? Maybe it was 2 days ago. Anyways, I am doing a 30-day no fast food challenge, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit, actually. But really, why I eat is mostly social. I'll go over to my friend's house. They're married and they're super cute, and they're just like, "Here, Myra, we're feeding you." And I say, "Okay." Luckily, they have a lot of healthy options, but I find that cooking for myself is actually really hard. And that's okay. I feel like that's something that I'm working on. You know, we're all working on goals, and eating healthy is just a goal, right? Growing up, because I want to lose weight so bad, it became very unhealthy for me. I guess I should probably be careful what I say. I was never anorexic or bulimic or any other health disorders, but my relationship with food actually was terrible. You know, we should love to eat food, right? Food is something that is delicious. It's delicious. It fuels us. I don't believe that we should look at food trying not to eat it. You know, there's this phrase called eat to live, don't live to eat. But sometimes I love living to eat because there's some good food out there. The Vietnamese food, so good. Lucky Slice pizza, delicious. And people who cook me food, oh my gosh, they are such good chefs. And food also brings us a sense of joy. I want to talk about that real quick, actually. Food brings us together as a society. Think about Thanksgiving. How many of us get together for Thanksgiving, and what do we really do on Thanksgiving? We literally just eat. That's it. Christmas, you're probably going to have food there. Any activity that's worth having an activity for, there's going to be food. And if you think about, like, we just had 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, by the way. How many of you had a barbecue on 4th of July? Why a barbecue? You know, why not meditation sunrise hike or something for the 4th of July? Food is what brings us closer together. And it's a way of, communing and such. I was talking to my one friend, and we were talking about what we would do if we were old and grandparents, and we weren't able to, if people didn't visit us all the time, and we wanted visitors. And I was like, I would just cook them a really nice dinner, and then they'd come over for the food. Guys, that's what you do. Food is not something that's meant to be our enemy. Food is meant to be something that is nutritious for us. Nutritious, beneficial. But I do believe that the type of food we eat is important. Let's go into that next, actually. So I've been reading this book this week just to prepare for this podcast, and frankly, I just do impulsive stuff. So I read a book, and it was called Curing Cancer Naturally. It was by this really cool doctor, and I am so sorry I don't remember his name. I will put I'll put a link to him in the Spotify podcast. By the way, if you don't know this, if you're on Spotify, if you go to More Like This, you can see the suggestions that I put, so you can find other resources about the topics I talk about, just so you know. Anyways, so he talked about curing cancer naturally, and the book kind of astounded me. So he's very much a whole foods, natural foods guru type thing. But he is a doctor. He's a doctor who has studied cancer enough to say we need to eat better. And he was intense. He was like, you need to eat 9 fruits and vegetables every day. You need to eat wild caught fish once a week. Dude, I eat 9 fruits and vegetables a month. Like, I might just get cancer because I don't eat healthy. I'm working on it, though, guys. I am working on it. Let's work on it together. Power. Podcast and team member power. Anyways, but he discussed that a lot. He discussed about how obesity... See, I wanted to talk about obesity again. But he discussed how obesity causes cancer simply by making your body work a little harder than normal. And it causes a lot more inflammation in your body. Basically, the idea is that every time your body goes through an issue, such as you don't drink enough water, you eat an entire carton of cookie dough ice cream, or just the cookie dough. I do both. Or you, get hurt by a family member, you have a fight, or something happens, there's a tiny bit of inflammation that happens inside your body. And over time, that inflammation grows and grows and grows, and it causes your cells to manipulate, and turn into cancer cells, which is what causes the cancer. That was so interesting to me. I believe there's something to be said about that. You know, we talk about eating healthy all the time, but even if we get hurt and we don't see it physically on the outside, it's really a cool idea that it actually hurts us on the inside too, because everything has some sort of effect on us, right? And okay, after I said that, don't get scared. Don't be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like fall and scrape my knee and then I'm gonna get cancer. I don't think that's the point of it. The point he was trying to make is just, we need to be aware. We need to be aware of what we're eating, what we're doing, how we're exercising, and what we're putting into our bodies. It was a really interesting book. I don't know. I will still keep reading it because I didn't get to the part yet where it talks about curcumin. Apparently blueberries are really good for you. Anyway, just more about curing cancer. But most of what he was talking about when curing cancer was preventative. And diet is such a crucial part of that process. I've also been listening to the Dr. Gabrielle Lyon show. She has a podcast, and I love her. She's like a strong, independent woman. You know how much she weighs? She said this in her podcast. She weighs 160 pounds. I think, yeah, 160 pounds. And she's able to lift 220 deadlifts. How the freaking heck does that woman do that? I can barely lift a donut. Just kidding. I can lift a donut. That's insane to me. I have never been 165 pounds, except for when I was 12. Was I 12? I don't know. Point is, I've always been a big lady. I've always been on the bigger side. Not to say that I'm fat, because I'm not. And if you call me fat, I'm going to call you fat. Sorry, that was a little snarky. But, you know, I've always been on the bigger end. So it's amazing to me that she's able to be so skinny and so fit. And she's really impressive. Anyways, she was on, she was a guest speaker on another podcast called Jocko Podcast. And the podcast number was number 428. I'll put a link in the subscription as well. But it's called Jocko Podcast, and it's number 428. You can find it anywhere you get podcasts. But they talked about protein. Guys, you know how big protein is now? Back in like the 90s or even the 2000s, protein was not talked about at all. If you want to lose weight, you decreased your fat, you decreased your sugar, you stopped eating as many carbs. Well, actually, no, you ate carbs. But you basically just exercised it off, right? Like counting your calories. That's how you lost weight. And now with the keto diet and pretty much everyone I've talked to, when they say, hey, we want to lose weight, they start with protein. They say, okay, increase your protein, just up it like crazy. I up it like crazy because that's what everyone tells me to do. I use protein as a builder. So, when I work out, because I work out almost daily, give or take, after I finish my workout, I will drink a protein shake. And I like that because the protein is actually building up my muscle, after I've like broken it down and hurt it. I don't know how well it actually works for me per se, but, I guess I have noticed a difference. When I don't eat protein or drink some sort of protein, after my workouts, I feel a lot more tired throughout the day. Which brings me to my next topic, but hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. The point is she talked about how protein is so important, it should even be a vital sign in hospitals. She worked on a geriatric unit, and on this geriatric unit, she was just hurt and sad by how many people, you know, were in their 80s and 70s and have just decided, you know what, I'm old enough, I'm just giving up on life. And she said, you don't have to. I mean, could you picture yourself being 70 or 80 years old and still going on hikes every day? My grandpa, for heaven's sakes, he is in his 80s and he still plays hockey once a week. Like, you don't have, just because you get old, it doesn't mean you have to stop moving. However, she worked with a lot of patients who had dementia, Alzheimer's, arthritis, just a whole bunch of stuff that really looked like life handed it out to them. And she said the most common theme she saw in all of them is that none of them had any muscle. Isn't that interesting? Now, we're not necessarily talking about exercise today, but she's a very big believer of protein. You know, eating enough protein, getting enough muscle, and not getting enough muscle to the fact that you're a bodybuilder, but having enough muscle that you're still able to do the things that you want to do, such as get out of bed, squat down on the toilet. Yes, some people, it's really hard for them. It's a real thing. Such as throwing a ball, being able to go on a walk. If you improve your muscle, then you'll still be able to do those things and you'll have a better life. That was what she was saying. And, I agree with her. You need muscle. Don't try to knock it. Now, I took medical anatomy for 5 years, and every time we got to the muscle unit, I definitely fell asleep because there are so many muscles. I don't like them. But I do not deny that they are very important to the body. So, going back to the cardio boost, I have so much to talk about on this topic. Holy cow, we're already like 15 minutes in. Which is, I guess, is only halfway. But I still have so much to talk about. And I hope you guys get to talk to me too. Let's be real. I love food. Okay, so I went to my uncle's store. He's a manager of a store. I'm going to say the name of the store because, there's already a podcast for it. But it's called Vitality Nutrition. And I was pleasantly impressed with his store and the products. That's actually where I got the book, Curing Cancer Naturally, for this week. That's where I got the book. But he gave me he started giving me supplements. And he gave me 2 supplements. One is called Cardio Boost. Now, I might butcher how this actually works, but from what I understand, as your body works, your heart pumps blood through your body, right? And over time, there are calcium deposits that get deposited into your veins, and they kind of harden your veins a little bit, making them a little bit less able to constrict and dilate. And constricting and dilating your veins determines how much blood you're getting. So over time, if the calcium hardens it, you don't get as much blood flow, you don't get as much oxygen flow, and it's really tricky. What Cardio Boost does is it cleans all that out, and it loosens it, right? It loosens the hardened calcium, so that when you're able to get more blood and oxygen to your head. And so I tried it. And, guys, it made such a big difference. I had some of my friends try it this week, and they were like, I didn't do anything for me. Well, what the freak? I don't know why. But I'm just kidding. I'm not mad at them. I don't know why it didn't work for them. Because for me, the days that I take Cardio Boost, I have so much more energy. I am so much more alive in my brain. I feel like I can do so much more. In fact, many people use Cardio Boost as a pre-workout because it just gives you a natural high. And I love it. I absolutely love it. My whole family uses it. My extended family uses it. And this is not an advertisement at any point, but just, it was really neat to put something into my body. And also, these are amino acids. You're just putting certain amino acids into your body, and they're doing the work. And so you can't really overdose, and I find benefit from it. The second thing was salt. There's this salt. Like, do you realize that your body needs salt? Okay, here's the thing. Now, I'm a nurse, and so many people at my job, I'll look at them and be like, oh, yeah, you need nurse in your diet. Oh, wow. You need salt in your diet. And they look at me and they laugh at me, and they're like, yeah, you need salt in your diet, and you're going to blow up your brain and get heart disease. What if I told you no? I know, let's get a little, what's the word? Let's get a little fighty. Nope, not fighty. That's definitely not the word. You know what? If you can think of the word, let me know. But the point is, I'm going to attack that idea. The idea that salt gives you brain damage or heart issues. Now, it is true that if you are taking salt, such as Morton salt or just plain salt, it can have a hard effect on you because it is just salt. But if you take real sea salt or any kind of sea salt, it's not just salt. It has other electrolytes and other thingamajiggies in with it that's combined with it that makes the salt work better. So in your body, you have cells, right? And these cells have salt inside them, which draws water into the cells. And doing that is able to help increase hydration. And so when you don't have enough salt, good salt, your body gets dehydrated and you're not able to stay as active as you are. And as I've been taking the salt, again, I've been seeing a huge difference. Especially when I work out, when I ran a half marathon, you guys knew about that, right? And how I went to the hospital. I didn't have enough salt. I wasn't hydrated enough. And that wasn't the only time. I went to Moab, and after like hiking, I was really exhausted. I'd go biking and I get really tired. I'm very prone to having that happen to me. But as soon as I take my salt, it's like done. And so, yeah, that's my little plug-in for salt. I guess I'll have to research that more and let you guys know. I don't really think this podcast is per se a health podcast yet. I don't feel like I'm necessarily qualified. I'm just basing everything off my experience. But once I have more information and once I have more data to back it up, I will let you guys know so that you can make an informed decision on your own. Anyways, let's see. Oh, there's so much to talk about. So, what is the best kind of diet? Yeah, let's go ahead and finish on this real quick. So I would argue that the best kind of diet, it's kind of like the best kind of exercise. It's the one that you're going to keep. You know, people can say that you need to be high in protein, you need to be high in calorie, you need to have a calorie deficit, you need to have this, you need to have that, you need to take this out of your diet. But for me, and take this with a grain of salt, because again, I'm still working on it. For me, when you diet, I would say practice adding more into your diet rather than taking stuff out. Ever since I started Cardio Boost, all I want now is healthy food. But see, I added that into my body. I didn't look at myself and say, Myra, you can't have ice cream, you can't have fries, you can't have that burger. I didn't say any of that. I just added something to my diet and my body naturally responded. And you don't have to do Cardio Boost. It can be expensive, so I get that. But what if you just added like fruits and veggies to your dinner? Or what if you eat out a lot like me, and instead of going to Burger King, I actually really hate Burger King, but I still eat it. It's a problem. Anyways, instead of going to Burger King, you go to Zupa's. Or instead of going to Zupa's, you go to a Vietnamese restaurant. You go somewhere with lots of fruits and vegetables. Or if you're cooking at home and you're eating macaroni and cheese, maybe say, okay, I'm going to have macaroni and cheese and broccoli. Or maybe you're going to add some fruit. The point is that you're just wanting to add healthy food into your diet. Because I want to emphasize this so much. Diet should not be about losing weight. We've talked about obesity a lot during this podcast, I think, or maybe I got distracted and we haven't. But when you're obese, there are issues that happen. Your knees start to hurt. There's a lot of blood going to different parts of you that could be going somewhere else if you didn't have all that fat on you. And the bigger you are, the higher your chance of cancer, coronary artery disease, and all those other really fun diseases come in. But if you diet because you want to lose weight, because you want to look good, how long is your diet actually going to last? I'm a big believer in that we shouldn't be obese to the point where we can't walk. I think that's way too unhealthy. However, being a little bit on the bigger side myself, I make it sound like I'm like 500 pounds. I'm not. But I don't want to tell you my weight. I'm so embarrassed. Like, I don't look big. Anyway, the point is, having a little bit of weight on you, that's okay. Women, we typically are heavier because we got to give birth. In fact, I've met a lot of my friends who are on the skinnier side who have a hard time giving birth because, they don't have enough fat and enough body mass to be able to produce a child. And not that they can't, it's just a lot harder for them. So there's definitely a certain percentage you need, and I'm still working on that. But if you're dieting because you're like, oh man, I want so-and-so to really like me. Well, screw him or her. Like, do they really matter? Well, I guess I can't say that. Guys, I've been there too, okay? I've been to there. That's part of the reason why I dieted when I was younger, is because I had this thought process of, wow, I'm really beautiful now. But could I imagine how much prettier I would be if I just lost a couple pounds? Toxic, people. Toxic. I don't... that line makes me upset. I heard one of my friends say that a while back, and I scolded her for it. And I don't mean to. It's just, you're beautiful the way you are. Your worth is not linked to your weight. The reason why you diet, the reason why you change your diet and exercise and lose the weight is to become healthier and to honestly become healthier. I'll have to tell you guys a story about when I ran the Spartan race. Not this time, but in the past. That Spartan race was my motivation to go to the gym. And now I go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm slowly eating healthier. I'm drinking a lot more water. I am healthier than I have ever been. But am I the size of a toothpick? No. Have I actually dropped down in pant size? Not really. Have I lost weight? Honestly, I've actually gained some weight. But guess what? I went on a hike yesterday, if you saw my Instagram. And it was an intense hike, but I did it, and it was fun. I go camping. I ride my bike all the time. I go meditating. I swim in rivers. I am very active, and I'm living my best life, despite not being the ideal weight that other people think I should be, or what I thought I should be. So it's just proof that being skinny doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. Oh man, there is so much I could talk about more about this, but I feel like I'm talking your guys' ear off. I mean, we're already at 25 minutes? So here's the thing. This isn't the only time we're going to be talking about this. I have a lot more podcasts coming up, and we're excited. There's some changes coming onto the podcast, some new things coming up. I don't want to spoil a surprise, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. We have some guest speakers that will be coming with us in the next little bit. I'm starting this whole new thing. It's going to be exciting. That's all I'm going to tell you about it, but it's going to be good. And we will come back to the nutrition topic. But for your goal this week, to practice nutrition, will you guys join me? If you don't want to do 30 days of not eating out, you're welcome just to do a week. But let's try it. Let's try not eating out. And actually, I'm going to scratch that. If you want to do that, feel free, but I'm going to actually change it. Your Power Spark this week is to keep an eye on what food you eat. When you eat breakfast, take pictures of your breakfast and post them on Instagram. Or post pictures of your lunch and put them on Instagram. Make them as Instagram worthy as possible if you want. Or just keep them for yourself, either way. But take notice of what you're eating. And before you eat, just kind of think to yourself, is this helping my body or hurting my body? And is it okay? For example, the other day I had ice cream and I said, I know this is hurting my body, but I don't care because I want ice cream. And that's okay. This podcast is not about shaming. I will never, ever shame you. There is correction that always needs to be done, but I will never do it with shame. But track your food this week. I think you'll be surprised. Maybe you're eating healthier than you realized, or maybe you aren't eating as healthy, or maybe you realize that some of the food that you're eating, you don't actually like the food, you're just eating it for convenience. Anyway, so this week, take notice of what you're eating and how you're eating it, and when you're eating it and such, and just do that for the week, and then let me know. Gosh dang it, I love you guys, and I love this podcast. I love being able to talk your guys' ear off, and I think this time we actually went for the full 30 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys, but I love you all. Good luck with everything. Trust God, trust others, and most importantly, trust yourself, and we will see you next week. Bye! Coming up, next episode, we will finally be discussing mental health. Mental health is something that is very important to me, and we're going to be discussing that for a couple weeks because of how important it is, and I hope it's important to you too. Anyway, stay tuned. Bye.